diving faces 300, sometimes 400 feet tall. Pieces of ice were shooting up out of the ocean 600 feet and then falling. The only way that
Shalom, shalom. First off, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash, Yahweh being the true name for the Heavenly Father, Yahushai being named for his only begotten Son, who the world regularly calls God, and Jesus Christ. I'm going to give double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth and will, and salutations to the hopeful like person this truth and all honesty and sincerity. This is Brother Yahweh Saab, comes to know the spirit power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai. On this lesson is basically going into one of these videos that I came across on social media of a potential Leviathan sighting. Is that Leviathan? Could be, but it's very spiritual that video came out. And I'll point out a couple things about it just to show you, I did stop it. And as you notice, I was kind of drawing on the screen there parts where it's very, questionable, as far as, is there something that was coming out of there that causes all that land to shift? Now I want to rewind it a little bit just so you can see the magnitude of how much force was being used, and it was definitely coming from beneath. This video is called glacier calving, which is an event where piece of a glacier falls off or breaks off, and typically you'll see glacier falling down. On this particular event, this was the largest ever caught on film, but there was a force coming from underneath that was causing this to move like this. And it was clearly something pushing the ice from underneath. So I'll rewind it a little bit.
Right there. Holy shit, look at that big bird rolling.
All right, do you clearly see this is not something that's falling downward in a downward motion. This is something being pushed upward by something massive. Okay.
All four running, right? Yeah. Look at that. See how, look at the whole thing.
Okay, so clearly something is moving the ice from beneath. All right, now I'm going to fast forward a little bit to go to that part. You can see various parts. It appears as if something is coming, the body of something is becoming visible. And it looks similar to when a wave, not a wave, but a whale surfaces. Okay. Do you see that? You see the water rolling off of it? Something is being pushed upwards from beneath. And it's clearly not the same color as the rest of the ice. Now, if this was glacier calving, typical footage I've seen from glacier calving, you'll have a big hunk of ice that will fall into the ocean and then kind of bounce back up as it sinks and resurface. But this is just initial force is being come from underneath it, okay? And right here, you begin to see somewhat of an image of a head start to come from the ice. Okay, there you have it. And it's going to zoom in, and what it looks like definitely an eyeball and a mouth. All right, so there you have it. Okay, now this could be a rock or something like that, or it just could be some really, really nasty, dirty ice, but I don't know. But it definitely does raise a lot of questions. And when things are going on the way they're going to happen in the world right now, this really brings the question of the prophecy of Leviathan coming out. Now, Leviathan can mean many gigantic sea monsters. Now, the ones that are upon the earth, referenced as the dinosaurs within the scriptures, are referred to as behemoth. A general category for those are behemoths. But in the sea, when you have massive creatures, they can be referred to as Leviathan. Now, another interesting fact. Okay, this footage was captured in Greenland. Now I'm going to bring up some information here, okay, about monsters, sea monsters in Greenland. All right, and the biggest one that came up when I Googled it, if I just go back, Greenland sea monster is all I looked up. Okay, I hit this definition, and the word for it is Hafguffa, okay, which means sea steam, is the name of a massive sea monster reported in the Avar Og saga to have existed in the Greenland Sea, which was said to disguise itself as an island or a pair of rocks rising from the sea. And that's exactly what we just seen. Okay, so this very well could have been what was called Hafguffa coming up, which means sea steam. Sea steam, okay? Now, when we get the scriptures out, we'll read a lot of it, okay, that goes into Leviathan. And one of the biggest thing I want to point out, all right, is the description of Leviathan. All right, so we start over here. This is Job chapter 41, verse 1. Canst thou draw out Leviathan with the hook, or his tongue with the cord which thou lettest down? Canst thou put a hook into his nose, or bore his jaw through with the thorn? Will he make many supplications unto thee? Will he speak soft words unto thee? All right, so basically, you can't just pull him out on your own accord. The Lord has to cause him to come out. Okay? Now, going on, verse 10, it says, none is so fierce that dare stir him up. Who is able to stand before me? Who hath prevented me that I should repay him? Whatsoever is under the whole heaven is mine. I will not conceal his parts, nor his power, nor his comely proportion. Okay? Who can discover the face of his garment? Who can come to him with his double bridle? Who can open the doors of his face? His teeth are terrible round about. His scales are his pride, shut up together as with close seal. One is so near to another that no air can come between them. They are joined together, they stick together, they cannot be sundered. By his neesing a light does shine, and his eyes are like the eyelids of morning. So he's got glowing eyes, okay? And he's got armor, basically super armor, rock-plated skin. All right, out of his mouth go burning lamps, and sparks of fire leap out. So he breathes fire, okay? Out of his nostrils go a smoke, as out of the seething pot or cauldron. His breath kindle coals, and his flame goeth out of his mouth. So this is a creature that has the ability to cause intense heat, okay? Within the water in the ocean like that, underneath a glacier, would definitely cause him to melt and break apart, and he can move freely underneath them things, okay? It says, his breath kindleth coals, and a flame goeth out of his mouth. His neck remaineth strength, and sorrow is turned into joy before him. The flakes of his flesh are joined together, they are firm themselves, they cannot be moved. His heart is firm as stone, yea, hard as a piece of neither millstone. When he raiseth up himself, the mighty are afraid. By reasoning of breakings they purify themselves. The sword of him that layeth at him cannot hold, the spear, the dart, nor the habergeon. He esteemeth iron as straw, and brass as rotten wood. So just smashes through anything. Okay? It says, the arrow cannot make him flee. Sling stones are turned with him into stubble. Darts are counted as stubble. He laugheth at the shaking of a spear. Sharp stones are under him. He spreadeth sharp-pointed things under the mire. All right, here's a big point. He maketh the deep to boil like a pot. He maketh the sea like a pot of ointment. Now, going into the description of this Hafguffa, what is it called? Sea steam. sea steam, okay? And we read the scriptures, the description of Leviathan. What does it say that he causes the water to do, or the oceans to do? He maketh the deep to boil like a pot. He maketh the sea like a pot of ointment, which is steamy, sea steam, okay? So half guffa could very well be an actual creature that exists, and within the Bible it's referred to as Leviathan. And we might have just witnessed a Leviathan on camera, which Esau tries to label as Glacier Calvin. And in times like this, beautiful times that we're living in, the Lord says Leviathan he's going to use to gather those that try to hide beneath the sea. You know? This is Amos 9:3. It says, and though they hide themselves in the top of Carmel, I will search and take them out of thence. And though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them. All right, that serpent is Leviathan. Okay, it says hide themselves in the top of Carmel, which basically means the top over mountains. Because when you go into Carmel, this is the definition. All right, in the Blue Letter Bible Dictionary, it says a garden land, a mountain in the Mediterranean coast of northern Israel, just below Hafia, a town in the mountains of the west side of the Dead Sea, the south of Hebron. Okay, so they're going to try to hide themselves in the clefts of the rocks, it says within the scriptures, you know, which are basically going into your doomsday bunkers, you know. I wish I can get that out. We can get that out within the Obadiah 1:3, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, who saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground. All right, so clefts of the rock, habitation and high, that can also go into skyscrapers. This is Esau's modern way of wanting to build up these super tall buildings, the world's tallest buildings, and so on and so forth. You know, which you get another scripture, hide in the holes of the rocks, I believe, because it goes into basically talking about doomsday bunkers. All right, here we go. It says, Jeremiah 16:16, behold, I will send for many fishers, saith Yahweh, and they shall fish them. And after will I send for many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain and from every hill and out of the holes of the rocks. Okay, that's where they building these doomsday bunkers. Okay, so during World War III and stuff like that, you got the most elite. They got the most high-end, expensive doomsday bunkers to try to hide from a thermonuclear war. And upon that war, after that war, you know, the Lord is going to send Leviathan to gather these people out. This is Revelation 6:15. And the kings of the earth and the great men and the rich men and the chief captains and the mighty men and every bondman and every freeman hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains. All right, so when we go back into that book of Amos, you know, it describes them of hiding in Carmel, which is talking about in mountains and from the bottom of the sea. So the Lord is going to send Leviathan to pull them straight out of there, man. I believe that's where we were. Might have been Amos 9:3. So lucky. Let me go. Amos 9. Okay, here it is. Yep. Amos 9:3. And though they hid themselves in the top of Carmel, I will search and take them out thence. And though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them. So there you go, man. So these massive creatures that are living in the bottom of the sea are going to come out to play. And just look at the size of these things, man. The guy describes it within the video of how massive these are. All that gigantic land just shifting and moving by something from underneath. Like I said, that might not be something, but I mean, either way it goes, that the Spirit revealed this to put that vibration out there, to put the fear of the Lord in people. That yes, there are creatures out there that exist. Gigantic creatures. And going back into some more interesting things about Hafgutha. All right, it says it means ocean steam. It's a huge sea monster of Norse mythology. It is also known by the names of Hafgutha, Hafguzman, Hafstraman. It's very popular in Iceland and Norway, which where the Vikings were. And, they recorded, Vikings were the best sailors, almost the best sailors of all time. They went all over the place. So, yes, they seen all types of gigantic sea creatures, which they do exist. Jeremiah 15:3, and I will appoint over them 4 kinds, saith Yahweh, the sword to slay, and the dogs to tear, and the fowls of the heaven, and the beasts of the earth to devour and destroy. And this can also be some symbology of the heathen nations taking over, different Israelites and parts of the world, but also physically as well. Beasts of the earth are going to be unleashed in these end days. This is 2 Esdras 5:8 says, there shall be confusion also in many places, and the fire shall be oft sent out again, and the wild beasts shall change their places, and minstrous women shall bring forth monsters. Okay, wild beasts changing their places, meaning coming out of places which are not to be, or not be expected, appearing. Leviathan will be drawn out, and with that thermonuclear destruction, that gigantic force of impact, certainly, if the Leviathan is sleeping, is going to be drawn out, which the Lord is going to cause that nuclear destruction to take place. So yes, that hook is set, and it's very spiritual, because in the movie Godzilla, not the one, the King of the Monsters, but the one before that, the beginning of the movie, it showed a nuclear destruction, a nuclear bomb going off, or a nuclear plant exploding, and it actually woke up Godzilla, and it woke up a giant sea monster that came out. Well, that's the spirit, because the scriptures talk about after thermonuclear destruction, the lake of fire, Leviathan's going to come out. So Esau knows a little bit of these prophecies, man, and he shows them within his movies. This is where they get the idea of Godzilla from. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 104. And we'll start as verse 25. It says, so is this great and wide sea, wherein are things creeping innumerable, both small and great beasts. So, of course, of the gigantic whales, the blue whale, that's the thing the size of a football field. And you think there's nothing bigger than that underneath the sea? You know how much of this ocean has not been explored? An extremely small percentage of the ocean has been explored. There is parts of the ocean that is still so deep that no man can build any type of machine to get to the bottom of it. Esau will try his very best, but he cannot do so. This is why there's certain restrictions, like you can't even go to specific parts of Antarctica. Completely restricted, private. Why? For what? Parts of the North Pole you can't go to. And going further in verse 26, it says, there go the ships. There is that Leviathan whom thou hast made to play therein. So there's a great beast called Leviathan that is there. It's like, it looks like my screen's freezing up here. Give it a minute to load. So Leviathan is definitely there, man. Definitely there, and it's very spiritual too, because look at the timestamp on this video. Now it says 4:42 is the total time length of it. All right, but here's another video I came across on social media. Okay, and look at the timestamp. The original video was 4:41, which that number 144 is a highly spiritual number. It's a number of the hopeful elect. So the Lord wanted this to get this caught on camera for the elect to see and bring it out. This very well could have been A Leviathan caught on camera, man, which is beautiful. The phone hit the charm on that one. You know, it's a text message, but that's beautiful, man. So I'm gonna play this real quick.
Now watch this. This one's really deadly. Here it comes. Boom. That came right out of the water, and if you look right there, I don't know what you see, but I see what might possibly be some gigantic creature. That is not, that's a thing. What is that thing? I don't know. But it's not a nothing. Now this event was quite a long event. Is this the only shots of these particular? Look at that now. Look at that. Water's running off whatever it is. Now there's other things around here too. I just don't know. You know, it'd have to be looked at. But I've been looking. Now look at what's going on here. What's all this about?
Let's get that video out, a little bit better image there. You know, it happened slightly after 1:44 in the video. Come out.
Breaking apart in front of your eyes. We're just observers, these two little dots on the side of the mountain. And we watched and recorded the largest witness calving event ever caught on tape.
Now that's the largest calving event ever caught on tape, so they say. And it was a total of 75 minutes. Now, I don't know where the actual entire footage is, but, you know, I would safe to assume if they saw anything extra out of the ordinary of an actual beast, they would probably cut that footage out of it and crop that footage out of the video. But we've seen enough, man. You've seen the force coming from beneath. And that definitely stirs up the spirit of prophecy and current times that we're in, man. You know? And soon Leviathan will come out. Now I just Googled some different images of Gutha, what they called it, as far as the Greenland sea monster. And here's some interesting you know, artistic creations of it. And it kind of makes your mind wonder and think what's really underneath there, man. And is this stuff more than mythology? Really makes you think, man. You know, look at these different creatures. And you read the scriptures about Leviathan, you know, causing the water to boil, shooting flames out of his mouth, skin joined together that nothing can break through. The massive size of this thing being like an entire island, you know, that what it was described to as, and we read the definition again, a massive sea monster reported, which was said to describe itself as an island or a pair of rocks rising from the sea. And that's really what looked like was coming out of the sea in that calving event was rocks. And we looked like we caught his eyes or his face on camera. And of all the timestamps of how long that footage had been released on YouTube could have been, the original video was 4 minutes and 41 seconds long, which Hebrew is read, by the way, from right to left. So that basically was saying 144. Spiritual signs there, man. You know, it says Havgatha was the monster of all sea monsters. So that means the biggest of the best. And fed on whales, ships, men, and anything it could catch. Havgatha was said to have lived underwater, and when the tide was low at night, her nose and head would rise out of the water. The only physical description provided in the saga is the nose sticking out of the water, which was mistaken for two massive rocks rising from the sea. Wow, man. Let's go back to this footage here. That sure does look a heck of a lot what's been described that we just read right here. A heck, that's very, very close now. You know, so very well could have seen Leviathan. Now, if this is supposed to be the mother of all sea monsters, would that not be considered Leviathan as you know, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai's pet? And there could be many Leviathan, and we don't know. Only so much of the ocean has been explored. Wow, man. It says he described the Hagupha as a massive fish that looked more like an island than like a living thing. The king noted that Hagupha was rarely seen, but always seen in the same two places. He concluded there must be only two of them, and that they must be infertile, otherwise the seas would be full of them. The king described the feeding manner of Hagupha. The fish would belch, which would expel so much food that it would attract all nearby fish. Once a large number had crowded into its mouth or belly, it would close its mouth and devour them all at once. That's a pretty massive creature, man. Okay, and it also called sea steam. You know, which means it's got to be hot, has some heat to it as well that can come out of his mouth. So this sounds a lot like the description, the biblical description of Leviathan. You know, and some other interesting facts about just simple sea creatures that I end up gathering on the internet. Something very, very small called the mantis shrimp, which is a very powerful shrimp. Okay, it says some facts on it. Let's see here. All right, here we go. All right, so the mantis shrimp. See if they got pictures of it on here. No, it doesn't. But it's also called peacock shrimp. After I read about this, I'll bring up a picture of it. Okay. Smasher mantis shrimp have raptorial appendages on the front of this body. It uses to punch its prey. The fists are spring-loaded, able to accelerate from their body at over 50 miles per hour, delivering a force of 1,500 newtons, enough to smash through crabs and clamshells. Okay, it says that's 2,500 times the force of the shrimp's own weight. If a human could do that, they'd be able to punch through steel. Wow. Now here's a fact. It says their punch is so fast, it results in cavitation bubbles. This is a superheated bubble and small flash of light, which for split seconds also generates temperatures of 4,400 degrees Celsius, which is nearly as hot as the sun in the surrounding water. So this is one little animal that's basically able to produce heat of fire, flaming sparks of tempest. Now this is a little bitty shrimp that can do that. Now imagine if the Lord has an animal that is way bigger than a shrimp, obviously, but the size of an island that has some type of muscle capability to do that. A creature shooting sparks and tempests out of his eyes and mouth isn't too far-fetched when you bring that into consideration. Okay, now here's the images of the mantis shrimp right here. Okay, and this thing right here just looks like it's got a lot of power to it, and just in the simple pictures of it, man. You see there? Its claws, it shoots out, and as soon as it hits something, it creates that much force. It's the force of a bullet. And it creates a bubble of heat almost hot as the surface of the sun. That's insane, man. And this is from a little bitty shrimp. Imagine what a giant creature the size of an island that has abilities like this that could do. The Lord has got some stuff in store, man, that we have never seen. You know? So definitely keep eyes on what's going on in the times. And we're approaching some time period. We're going to see some marvelous things happen upon the face of this earth. It's going to become something that your average Hollywood movies will have nothing on as far as what we are going to witness and see upon the Lord's return. We are going to see creatures, man. We're going to see his power, his glory. We're going to see the Lord's pet, Leviathan, come from the sea. We're going to see a real life Godzilla, man, come out of the depths of the sea. You know, so Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I'm going to go ahead and close out. Give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. Double honor to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, the time of truth and will well. And salutations to you, hopefully, that pushing this truth and our honesty and sincerity. Shalom.